So recently, I had a client of mine who purchased a house several years ago ask me, Scott, what is going on with the changes to real estate commission? And the exact question was, can you explain the change in commission law? Now, this is something that I've heard a lot, and I want to just, before I dive into it, super quickly clarify that changes that went into effect last year, August 17th of 2024, regarding real estate commission is not a law. Laws are passed by Congress, or here in New York State we have our own legislative body that pass laws. Okay, this is not a law, just to clarify that. What this is a change in the way that real estate is done in regards to a lawsuit that happened and was finalized over the last couple of years. So essentially what I am is a licensed real estate salesperson. I'm licensed by the state of New York. However, on a broader scale, nationally, I have a designation of a realtor. You've probably heard this. Some people say realtor, realtor. I don't care how you pronounce it. I'm a realtor. And as a realtor, that means I am a member of NAR. NAR is the National Association of Realtors. And so because I'm a member of this, I abide by certain rules, and you could even say customs, about how real estate buying and selling is done in relation to my license. Well, essentially, NAR got sued and they lost. And when they lost, part of the settlement of that lawsuit was some changes to the way that real estate was done. So what are the changes? Well, there's really two big changes. And if you've heard about this, like in the news, you've read articles, you've seen it on TV, like they're hitting on these big points, but the news kind of construed it, especially during the time that it went into effect, which was end of summer 2024, going into the fall. It was all over the place, and people were kind of putting their own spin on it. So I really want to just clarify this really quick. The first change is that all commission in regards to a house being sold, being put onto the MLS, that's the multiple listing service, all commission in regards to that specific property being put up for sale would no longer be made public. As an example, if somebody wanted to buy a house and I was working with them and they wanted to go see 123 Main Street, I could look up 123 Main Street and I could see exactly what I was going to get paid as that buyer's agent. So I knew it's either X amount of dollars or X% of the sale price, whatever it was. It was public. I could see it. I didn't have to question it. It was just available, right? So I never really had to go to a buyer and say, hey, I'm getting paid this, by the way, or they're only offering me this. I'm going to need to also charge you as the buyer. Like, I never used to do that because of the fact that it was all public. Well, the change was that field where you would input that into the MLS, that commission field, went away, no longer public. So does that automatically mean that nobody is offering a commission for a buyer's agent anymore? No, absolutely not. Business is entirely the same. It's kind of like, I don't want to say it's a nothing burger, but it's kind of like a nothing burger, okay? So just because it's not public doesn't mean that somebody that's selling their home is going to automatically just not offer a commission to a buyer's agent. It's kind of like an old adage that if you are trying to pick up pennies, but you're stepping over dollars to do so, what are you really gaining? And so one of the things that real estate as again, like a custom, like I said earlier, one of the reasons that a listing agent will charge a certain commission and then offer to share some of that commission with the buyer's agent is because it makes it much easier for more people to be able to have representation and access your house to be able to purchase it. So if you suddenly take away a buyer's commission or a cooperating broker compensation, as we can refer to it, suddenly you're putting yourself in a position where the amount of people that can see your house go from 10 to maybe one, maybe two, right? Because that agent now has to tell their buyer and have a conversation with them, hey, listen, this house, they're not offering me any type of compensation at all, so you're going to be on the hook for paying me like whatever they agree to, right? So it puts people in a little bit of a difficult position where they might just entirely write that house off. They might just say, oh my gosh, yeah, Scott, I've been working with you for 3 months and, obviously want to help us get a house, right? So some people might just say, we're done. We're not going to look at that house. It is what it is. So you're really alienating a large pool of buyers when you do this. And that's why literally since this change went into effect, I have not even encountered a home for sale that hasn't had a commission of some sort for a buyer's agent. Okay. So to me, it's like a non-issue. People, like, I could look up 123 Main Street and then I could call and ask what the commission is. I don't even do that. I never do that. I just literally go show the house. If my people are interested, I write an offer, and I'm worrying about the commission at that point, and I'm just putting it into the deal. Literally no different than it did before, except this field of commission is no longer public. That's literally it. Now, the other change that happened, because I said there was 2 changes to real estate, the other change that happened is prior to touring a home, you have to have a signed agreement with your client, with your buyer, before you go tour that home. It needs to be signed. It needs to be set in stone in place. Okay. And there's a couple reasons for this, but the biggest one, and it really kind of makes sense if you think about it, right? If you sell your home, if you have a real estate agent help you sell your home, you're going to have some type of contract. You're going to have paperwork. Okay. It's not like you just shake on it and they put it up with no paperwork. So you're going to have paperwork. That's an agreement between the seller and the listing agent. It's really pretty fair that a buyer and their agent should also have an agreement in place, right? Because it's going to kind of outline your duties. Like, what are my duties as an agent to my buyer? And what is the buyer's duties to me? What are our expectations for one another? How long are we even going to work together? Yeah, what's the commission? Scott's going to charge a certain commission. Respectfully, Scott doesn't help people buy houses for free. So, like, what does Scott charge? Okay, that's all outlined in there. It really makes perfect sense. Now, buyer-agent agreements have always been out there. It's not like this is a new thing that never existed. However, by and far, agents did not use them because it just wasn't customary, okay? If I wanted to work with a buyer wanted to work with me, we met for coffee, we talked about their goals, what they wanted to accomplish, how to accomplish it, and we worked together, we shook hands on it. That was it. And if a month down the road, they didn't want to deal with bald-headed guys anymore, and they were like, Scott, I'm done. I'm like, great. God bless. I hope you can find a house with another agent. Now, luckily, that's never really happened to me, but I would never sit there and be like, no, we shook on it. You've got to work with me, right? That's just not how I've ever chosen to do business. And it applies the same to this written agreement. It's like, yeah, we have to have an agreement. And sure, it makes sense. It's got some outline terms in it. But at the end of the day, it's just a piece of paper. And really, nothing's changed, except for the fact that really this needs to be signed and in place prior to touring the home. And I pretty much 99% of the time when I start working with a new client, I'm going to sit down with them, we're going to have coffee, and we're going to talk through the whole home buying process to make sure they fully understand what is going on, what's involved, what they can expect. And at that time, I then also talk about this agreement. And I kind of end our conversation with going through it and having them sign it. No problem, no big deal. Those are really the 2 big changes to the real estate industry that went into effect on August 17th, 2024. By and large, literally nothing has changed, just semantics, if you will. Anyway, appreciate the question. If you're ever having any other real estate related questions, I would be honored to answer. I'll give you a video response just like this. Thanks so much, everybody. Appreciate your time. Have a great day.